Well, how's it feel? You've worn the uniform before, but never as the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, I think I've really yet to get my head around it. Been a lot going on and a lot of change in a short amount of time, but just can't. I don't think I can put the words together that explain it well enough to the people out there that are listening and have been so supportive. That it's the greatest honor of my life, and I'm excited about the challenges. I'm excited about the opportunity.
You said earlier that you were made for this role. At what point? Was it back in the playing days when we used to kid you about being a manager, or sometime when you retired? At what point did you realize that this is basically destiny?
Well, I think I knew pretty early on, and it was pretty impressive when I go to college and I play for a guy who caught for 17 years in the big leagues, and Bill Freehand, and the first day he comes in, he tells me to go change all my electives to Spanish because when I manage, it's going to be a very valuable tool. And I get into the minor leagues, and my catching coach, Del Crandall, who was a manager in the big leagues, said, this is going to be valuable for you to know as a player, but as a manager, this is really going to be important. And to hear these guys who just, weren't the people off the street, people who've been there and done that, and then to continue to have somebody with that I have the highest regard for, which is Tony La Russa, invest into me over the last 4 years through spring training and periodically through the year, just sit and talk what thought process he has and why decisions he made them, and to have that open door and that open communication has really developed who I am, and to realizing this is what I know and this is what I do, and other people see it for a reason.
That being said, how difficult was it over these last few years? You mentioned your family dynamic is changing. The kids are getting older, and you're in a position now where you can manage, but there were opportunities in the past, and there's no guarantees that there's going to be more. How difficult was it to pass on some of those before?
Well, it was difficult, and I think for me, knowing that, hey, I'm a baseball guy and I'd love to be involved. How does it best fit? And then you just go through a risk-reward analysis and figure out, does this make sense? And for the most part, when the opportunities did present themselves at that time, it didn't. But the family dynamic has certainly changed. We were real proud of a couple of our kids who are getting ready and prepared and signed up to go off to school, and they've been ready all along. I think a lot of it is too, I had a responsibility to stay true to who I said I was, and if I tell you that my number one responsibility is I've got this to do with my family and a critical age to just take off on chasing my career dreams, I believe that to be a little hypocritical, but it's all about timing, and the timing couldn't be any more perfect. My family absolutely beside themselves, and last night was just an incredible party within our little group of family, but it's something that they're prepared for. They realize it's going to be a transition, and we're just trying to use family and friends to make that transition as seamless as possible.
Realizing that the process is going to play out here over the next few days, the next week or so, and there'll be some familiar faces staying on this coaching staff, but how important is it for you to bring in some of your guys as you kind of formulate your own identity, mold this into whatever the Mike Matheny style of managing is going to be? How important to have some of your own guys as coaches?
Well, I think first of all, you just anybody that comes into a new position needs to understand the overall vision of the organization. You need to understand what the mission is and where things are heading, and you take all information in as possible and make wise decisions. Fortunately, we have some people to help out with that. I think a lot of it's going to be just relationally. How does this fit? Does this work with this particular guy, and is he going to be comfortable with this scenario? So you take all that information, you put it together, and then you make the decision that you feel is best that gives this team an opportunity to win.
I know you've been reaching out. What kind of feedback, who have you heard from as far as the players?
Well, I was pretty excited in there to see Matt Holliday and David Freese. I heard from Albert this morning. I heard from Carp. I've heard from a lot of former teammates. Be honest with you, I lost count of over 300 texts that I received, and so there are a lot of them were numbers I couldn't even open up to see who it was. But just it's been overwhelming in a lot of regards. But something that I see a lot of people excited about, none more so than myself.
Guys that know you obviously have to be excited because they know what you're about, but for maybe some of these young players that had roles or roles that are still evolving on this team, what do you do to some of these young guys that maybe are hoping for a chance to compete in spring training?
Well, I really, I think the idea of style has come up so many times, and I don't claim to have a style. What I do is I have a personality, and I think that's what I've been consistent with through my career is going in and trying to help people. Whether it's a young outfielder or a young pitcher, I felt that I had a responsibility and an obligation as a guy who'd been around, because people did that for me, to go over and really use what I think are things that are the most important to me, and something that I do naturally, which is to lead, encourage, and challenge. And I think when you do that to people individually and they realize first that you care, and they have to believe that you care, because they don't care about anything you have to say until they know that you care. And if that relationship's built, then the ground's fertile to start making a difference and try and help them out. And as you help them out individually, collectively we're all going to benefit. So that's really what I bring to the table as far as relationships go, and leadership style is diving into trying to make all these guys, the young players, the guys who are still trying to get their feet under the ground. It's going to be just honest conversation of, hey, this is what you've got to work on if you want to be an impact player on this team or somewhere in this game. This is what you're missing, or this is what you're doing extremely well, and trying to read the personalities of guys that need a little more of that, guys that need an occasional kick, and then some of our veterans, an occasional push to, hey, remember, these guys are watching you. But that's one of the beautiful things about this club and this staff as we're heading forward is there's great leadership in place already, and there's some guys who love the idea of trying to make people around them better. And when you cultivate that culture, you're destined to do some pretty incredible things. And
no question, a lot of excitement, but believe it or not, 3 months away from the opening of spring training. That's a big task. I don't think people realize the organization, how big a project that's going to be. You ready to get out the pencil and the calendars and figure out who's going to be on field 9, field 1, that sort of?
Yeah, kind of already started. I think there's going to be quite a few different swim lanes I'm going to be in simultaneously, and trying to figure out all the things that need to be covered. But I've canceled plans I've had to go home for Thanksgiving to see my former home back in Ohio, to see family, and really just digging in and trying to get this staff situation situated, really taken care of first, and move forward with that, and put some people around me that believe in exactly what it is that we're doing, and understand this culture. So that's first and foremost, and after that it's just starting to knock out everything and prepare for the challenges that are coming.
Well, Mike, we know there is a lot to do, but congratulations and thanks again for the time. Good luck.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.